I'd like to reminding the presenters to rename yourself using your abstract ID number underscore your real name, just to help us to know if you're already present or not in this Zoom room. Okay, now we have the sessions for discussions. We have 5 minutes for discussions. And again, we'd like to tell you that if it's more comfortable for you to use Bahasa Indonesia, please do so. It's okay. So, apakah ada pertanyaan, Bapak atau Ibu? You can raise hand or you can put it on the chat box, probably, if there's any. Okay. If there's no questions, we can go to the next 3 other videos, presentations from ID 85 with entitled The Importance of Securitizations Toward Environmental Issue, Case on Freeport Tailing Waste by authors Septianto Galan Prakoso, Ferdian Ahya Alputra, Nadia Dian Ardita, Andrian Syah Perdana Murtiantoro, and Lim Fatimah Timoria. From ID numbers 96, entitled Effectiveness of Community-Based Collaboration on Forest Management of the Forest Program 3 in Central Sulawesi. From the other, Golar, Hasriani Muiz, Ahmad Hirman, and Wahyu Simorangir. And the last presentations is from the ID 128, entitled Web Geographic Information System for Rice Field in Bungko Village, South Kotamu Bagu District. From the other, Sandra E. Pakasi, Frankie J. Paat, and Milah Sofiati. I can see that we have Pak Ferdian Ahya Alputra and Pak Wahyu Simurangir. Thank you for joining the sessions. Okay, for the operator, please play the video.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. On this occasion, we would like to talk about the importance of securitization towards environmental issue, case on Freeport tailing waste. The authors are myself, Septianto Prakoso, and my colleagues Ferdian Alputra, Nadia Ardita, Andrian Saburtiantoro, and Im Timoria. Let's begin. So, from the introduction, we depart from the fact that Indonesia ranks in the 6th position as a rich mining materials country. We're rich in coal, gold, copper, and lead. We produce 614 million tons of coal and 28.9 tons of gold in 2021 alone. Also in copper production, we produce up to 2.2 million tons in 2020, according to our national statistics. And from all of the mining process, PT Freeport Indonesia or PTFI from the private company has directly contributed around 21.1 billion US dollar or around 300 trillion rupiah. As for income tax, the Indonesian government received 71.7 million US dollar from PTFI in 2020. They also produce and provide a lot of workforces and work field. In total, there are 127,875 workforces who work for PTFI per March 2021. Although they contribute positively to our economy and also provide a huge labor market, they also create a lot of setbacks, the PTFI we mean, in environmental problems. One of it is the tailing waste. This article actually aims to analyze how the Indonesian government acts toward the environmental damage caused by PTFI using this securitization concept and qualitative method. The analysis will provide a data visualization also to point out that certain stakeholders will have significant roles on environmental issue, which they act as pressure to those who are considered responsible for the environmental problems. Our method basically consists of 2 methods, as explained before. We use qualitative descriptive method to examine the object, and also we support our analysis with literature research with visualization later on the data. We use Google Scholar and FOSS Viewer as the means. This study collects all of the publication related to securitization from the year 2000 to 2022 from Google Scholar. And the keywords we use are securitization, environmental issue, Indonesia, Islungan, and so on. You can see on the picture. And also, we focus on the concept of securitization that defined as a speech act by certain agents, such as government official, community leaders, and NGO, and so forth, that become a reference object in form of things that considered something is potentially dangerous and become a threat to certain individual security or even national security, and convey to the public as a target audience to be responsive and then support emergency report towards this kind of things outside normal policies. Taken from Professor Dewinata, 2017. And this study set the minimum occurrences of the keyword to be visualized that we found from the Google Scholar, from the terms later on to be networked and also projected in on-force viewer by limited the threshold into 3 because of the poor quality of the publication, because we do not find a lot. So poor quantity, sorry. And then there are actually some relevant terms from the publications. Actually, we found 82 papers. From 22 years, we found only 22 papers. And then from those 82 papers, we can get like some repetition, some important keywords defined by repetition and produced by fast viewer, around 569 keywords, but only 20 meet the threshold of the repetition of 3. And then we select all of those keywords, and then we map it into something like this. So this is the result discussion. From the map, we can see that there are very limited keywords that appear when we talk about or when we discuss about the study of environmental problem issues, securitization, and so forth. So we can see that some of the keywords also there is clusters on it. There are 4 clusters. First, Indonesia, isu keamanan, securitization effort, and also cluster 2, there are problems, securitization process, and so forth. Cluster 3, ASEAN, issue Singapore. Cluster 4, only food security. We see that this limited and very specified keywords show that there are not a lot, or there are not complete or truly research on connecting securitization with environmental problems. So we see here from our literature research that this kind of topic should be empowered, should be promoted more. Because of why? Because of this case that the television of report environmental issue somehow show that securitization can help environmental issue or problems to be mainstream and solved. Later on, we'll see on our findings in the next slides. But our point here that these clusters and also the map shows that the obscurity of the topic is still there. And also it's shown that the publication only efficiently increased since 2015 to 2020, even though we searched it from the year 2000. And then this also led to our findings that actually when we talk about security threats that expanded from years to years, we also track it back to even the definition that is explained by the Copenhagen School, that basically the concept of securitization is a phenomenon which security studies are not limited to the military aspect or hard power aspect. It also can be stretched into aspect of human life, like human rights, pandemic, crime, environmental damage, and so forth. One of the non-traditional threats, actually what we are talking here, is the damage to the environment due to the operation of PT Freeport Indonesia, PTFI, a subsidiary of American-based mining company Freeport McMoran Incorporated. One of the biggest volume of waste is the form of tailings. Actually, is a residual moisture and sand produced in the separation process of concentrate from the ore at the mill. So to separate the copper or gold ore from the dirt or the soil or the sand that encapsulated it, they use a systematic methods. They use water, also liquid, also maybe in some of the parts chemical also used. That's why in the tailing waste is included the hazardous and toxic waste category, because the leftover is still containing some kind of material that is hazardous to the environment, and also implemented Indonesia's regulation. Due to specific topography, seismic activity, the company employs a controlled tailing management system. They have the controlled tailing management system, but actually it exports the waste to the river and to certain areas in the lowland and coastal areas called Modified Aqua Deposition Area, MOD ADA. And this area is actually also disturb the indigenous people, namely especially the Amungme and Kamoro tribes. They observe that the tailing waste is not only influencing environmental issue, but also health and education issues. That's when they spoke about it, and they say that actually this has been going on for years and nobody cared for it. So we try to make this mainstream. We try to put this on the spotlight by using the view that this kind of things, this management waste from the PTFI is actually a threat. So they securitize this issue, and this kind of phenomenon also prompted several reactions from another NGOs as from NGOs like Walhi and Greenpeace. Continuing, we can see the picture from before and after. So the efforts made by this group, part of this group, has actually pushed government and prompted the government as a stakeholder that have the capability to fix this issue to take immediate action. The AMDAL analysis shows result that there is a violation that resulted to environmental damage in the area, and as a next step, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry imposed a fine on Freeport 400 billion rupiah. And also later on the solution, Freeport must also assist the locals that the tailing waste is and then managed and processed and can be used as a material in building local public infrastructure. The policy result shows that how pressure from various parties has become one of the factors that prompt the government to take decisive step in overcoming the problem, which considered a non-traditional security threat with potential risk to the environment and the livelihood of many species. Conclusion, so we can see that the case here is actually exists and the tailing waste is included in hazardous material, and both of the environmental indigenous peoples urge the government to solve this problem and investigate the problem. And one of the important things actually the role of the indigenous tribe that put this problem into the spotlight, and they say that it's a very important threat, that is an existing threat that affecting their lives, and it makes the stakeholder aware of it, and then the problem can be solved. Finally, in the development, tailing waste is also can be used as alternative to building materials. And also from this research, we can learn that the discussion about securitization towards environmental issue still need to be mainstream or put into spotlight. And based on the obscure and limited result from literature review, there should be more study on securitization effort to surmount the environmental issue in Indonesia. We think that's all of our for our presentation. Thank you very much.
And thank you for opportunity to us. I'm Golar from the Forestry Faculty at Tadulako University, who will present our study with the title Effectiveness of Community-Based Collaboration of Forest Management of the Forest Program Central Sulawesi. As we know, Forest Program 3 Sulawesi is a grand collaboration between the Germany federal government and the government of Indonesia. The implementation of this program is under the Ministry of Environmental and Forestry with funding support from KfW. The Forest Program 3 Sulawesi has 4 outputs including more effective management of biodiversity conservation in Lorelindo National Park, rehabilitation and improvement of economic and environmental services for watershed in the Lorelindo landscape, improving the livelihood of the people living together with the conservation area, and support for cooperation in research in the field of biodiversity and climate. The main indicator for its success are the stability of biodiversity, maintenance of forest cover area, and cooperation between the community and Lorelindo National Park. Identification stakeholders. Ministry Environment and Forestry has given authority to the Directorate of PIKA as the main implementer and person in charge of this project, known as the Project Executing Agency. PAA then delegate the rule of implementation of 3 agencies that have a direct role in the achievement of the project in Central Sulawesi. The 3 agencies are known in this project as the implementing units projects. The PAU consists of Lorelindo National Park, the Palu Watershed Protection Forest Management Center, and the Sulawesi Region Social Forestry and Environmental Partnership Center. Every agency open recruitment village facilitators to handle this program in the field. And then each PAU has authority over village facilitators and third parties in delivering the program that has been prepared by the project management above it. The third parties referred to in this project are external parties. The rule of this project are considered strategic when viewed from the social, economic, and ecological aspect of forest area sustainability. However, its implementation is still experiencing problems to the program has not run as it should. In fact, there are several priority programs among the 3 PIUs that intersect with each other. For example, between Lorelino National Park and Palu Poso Watershed Protection Forest Management Center have a priority program in the term of restoring the area by taking a non-rotation forest rehabilitation approach in protecting the area while still empowering the community. The Sulawesi Region of Social Forestry and Environmental Partnership Center, through the Social Forestry Program, has been integrated into the priority program of this project. The other agency, Palu Poso Watershed Protection Forest Management, also has the same program to empower community to improve their economy through an agroforestry approach. However, collaboration in the implementation of program with the same output has never been done, and they are embraced individually, including joint program and priority related to the capacity building, but the implementation is carried out partially in each PIU. Potential conflict. In implementing the Forest Program 3 project, in this result, we can look 3 potential conflicts, including first, village facilitator. In the fields, most of the village facilitator admit that they did not know well about the Forest Program 3 logical framework. Village facilitator lack understanding of the logical framework will have an impact on the ability to translate tasks that tend to be instructional due to the lack of improvisation skills achieving the main goals. The program seems impromptu and filled up the end of the year. Secondly, community groups. At the site level, it was found that the program that had been communicated by the village facilitators had not been running optimally. One of the facts is that even though they are involved in ongoing rehabilitation programs, the community continues to carry out illegal logging and land clearing activity with the pretext to fulfill their daily needs. Third parties. The third parties of project are Forest Farmer Group and Provincial Forestry Services represented by Forest Management Unit. The result of the work of third parties were responded well by each Forest Farmer Group in the assist village. Some of them don't even go well. In fact, the existence of Forest Management Unit as institutional that know they are field condition must be encouraged to be included on project. As a conclusion, the collaboration of the role of the parties in the Forest Program 3 program has not gone well in the term of objective and achievement of each PIU and has not been well integrated according to the need of the community. Several activities related to the forest and land rehabilitation purpose have not been carried out but have not been maximized, especially in internalizing the essence of forest and land rehabilitation purpose activities to farmer groups. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the committee to give me a chance to give a presentation today. The title of my presentation is Web Geographic Information System for Rice Fields in Bungko Village, South Kota Mobagu District by S.E. Pakasi, F.J. Paat, T.B. Ogi, and M. Sofiati. Introduction. Geographic Information System, or GIS, is an information system that can combine graphic data with text data objects that are connected geographically on Earth or georeference. Geographic information system in agriculture are needed for various agriculture activities. For example, identifying the distribution of the coconut industry, analysis of irrigation network systems, distribution of agricultural machinery use, and distribution of sugarcane pests, and others. Land is part of the landscape, which includes the physical environment, including climate, topography or relief, soil, hydrology, and natural vegetation, all of which have the potential to affect land use. Agricultural land is used to fulfill the function of land that is used as a production medium. Agricultural land consists of paddy fields and non-rice fields. Paddy land is land that is used to grow lowland rice, either continuously or alternately with a secondary crops. Meanwhile, non-paddy fields are land that is not used to grow rice, such as forests, swamps, gardens, reservoirs, yards, fields, and so on. The result of GIS data processing will be more accessible if combined with a website or known as web GIS, so that people can access it easily via mobile, anytime and anywhere. Web-based geographic information system, or better known as a web GIS, is an application in GIS or geographic information system that utilize the internet network as a medium that function for distribution, integration, communication, and providing information in the form of text and digital maps, so as to perform its functions using analysis and queries related to GIS. This research is inputting data, the area and ownership of rice fields in Bungo Village, South Kota Mobagu District, by presenting it into a map that utilizes a web-based information system or web GIS. Material and methods. Software, Windows 10, 64-bit, XAMPP, Quantum GIS, Leaflet GIS, Google Chrome, Windows, WordPress, GPS Essential, and Avanza Map, Visual Studio Code version, GitHub and Gitbash, and GT Matrix. Material preparation. Secondary data that support the research are in the form of land ownership data in Bungo Village, South Kota Mobagu District, RBI map data, Indonesian Rupa Bumi Earth, in South Kota Mobagu District, and data on statutory instruments. Web GIS analysis. The method that will be used in the research is the digital visual on-screen classification method, where the researcher digitizes through the GIS software by interpreting image data with a web GIS-based spatial analysis. The implementation method uses the SDLC, System Development Lifecycle method, with a waterfall model approach that performs several stages, namely planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, and maintenance. Results and discussion. Data collection. Bungo Village, South Kota Mobagu District, has an area that spans 811.49 kilometer square by BPS Kota Mobagu Selatan data 2021. Can be seen in figure 2. South Kota Mobagu district itself is directly adjacent to various areas in the north bordering by Kecil village, and the south is bordered by Lolayan district, and the east by Tabang village, and the west by Kopandakan Satu village. There are 53 plots of rice field with different owners and size. The area of rice fields in Bungko village is 64.10 hectare with the widest plot of 9.25 hectare and the narrowest plot of 0.003 hectare. This area was reduced by 60.19% with an area of 100.22 hectare from the area of rice fields in 2018. This reduction in rice fields occurred due to the conversion of agricultural land in Bungko village, South Kota Mobagu district. In figure 2 is a sketch of the Bungko village rice field from Department of Agriculture and Fishery Kota Mobagu. Design a system. Digital map creation. The first thing to do in making a digital map is to digitize the paddy fields in Bungko village, Kota Mobagu Selatan district, and attribute data as in the previous data processing stage. The result of this data processing are converted into a GeoJSON file so that it can function on leaflet GS, which is a site for processing, digitizing data on this paddy field. The work of displaying a word map by connecting with digitized results using a web programming in HTML form. Coding is done using the Visual Studio Code version 1.65 code editor for Windows 64-bit, which must be downloaded on the laptop to be operated. Before coding is done, the thing that must be done is to make sure that exam software is operational. The result of the code area, the code area are still located on a local host whose database is still on the operator's computer and cannot be accessed globally. To make the map in a network state, the author requires web hosting in the form of GitHub, which can be accessed through the site address http://github.com, then register and enter the main account menu. Then create a repository, which is the working folder. Next, add the map making work file that still works only on local host. There are 3 files that will be included, namely index.html, HTML, which contains localhost map coding with the HTML programming language, leaflet Ajax, which contain map template coding with the JavaScript programming language, and Bungko village rice field digitation, which contain the result of map digitation carried out previously with the JSON file format. The editing process is carried out with a terminal that connects the localhost project to the global using a software called Git Bash. Web creation. The appearance of the website is made using the WordPress software. The initial stage of make the website is to create a WordPress admin account. Update, log in the account, which will display the WordPress dashboard page. The WordPress dashboard is a user interface that is between data and design that function to display various metrics, numbers, or data visualizations. The appearance of the website is made with several components. consisting of menus, header, menus, body, and footers. The menu is a part of the website that contains website pages, including the homepage, village profiles, data, maps, galleries, and contacts. The header is the display of the website title and website slogan. Body is display of the contents of the main page. Footer is the part of the website that contain the menu and website title. Implemented system. The information system for the distribution of rice field that present information on data on the area and data on ownership of these fields in Bungko Village, South Cotabato District can be accessed in general using the internal network by typing the site address in the browser. Address bar, namely https / sawah desa Bungko KTG Selatan .wordpress.com/. This website can be accessed using desktop, tablet, or smartphone devices. Maintenance and testing. System, the websites created must check and update data or the information. In addition, website that needed to the web GIS access speed testing and black box testing. And conclusion, WebGIS can provide information about the rice fields in Bungko Village, South Cotabato District. This website makes it easier for the government and the community, especially farmers, to access the data needs that are presented. In addition, this website is useful for policymakers as well as for monitoring the supply of fertilizer and pesticide for rice fields to farmers in Bungko Village, South Cotabato District. There are 53 plots of rice fields in Bungko Village, South Cotabato District, with different owners. The total area of rice field located in the Bungko Village is 64.10 hectare, with the widest area of 9.25 hectare and the narrowest area of 0.003 hectare. The resulting WebGIS can be accessed online by users by connecting the internet network via the address in the URL address bar in the Explorer browser. http://sawah desa Bungko KTG Selatan .wordpress.com. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you for the three interesting presentations. And now we are again come to this discussions sessions. We have another 5 minutes. So thank you. Please go ahead, Pak Winarno from UJB.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mas Irfan, for the time. I would like to ask to Madam Sandra E. Valeri. I would like to ask about the web GIS. It's a very nice and magnificent ideas, yeah. So everybody just, because it's gonna be open for public, so everybody could access this data. In my question is ownership, about the ownership of the land. In my opinion, that was a private data. What about those area? There are like some part of the society, they decline it to be a part of those web GIS. So what about that? Are their lands going to be disappearing from the map, or they're going to be like other optional about it, to the fact that ownership of the land is a part of the private data? So what about to the people who decline to join the Paddy's map that get access by global people? So what we're going to do with those people who decline to join the WebGIS? Thank you.
Thank you for the questions, and it's really good questions, I think. But unfortunately, is Ibu Sandra present here, or someone from the ID 128? Is anyone here? Unfortunately, nobody here in our room, so I'm sorry we cannot have answer for your questions.
Thank you so much. It's okay. So maybe in another opportunity, we can just discuss this thing. Thank you so much, Mas Irfan.
Thank you. Thank you for participating in discussion sessions. Okay, let's, is there any questions? Anyone or feedback? Okay, now we going to the next three presentations from the ID 171, entitled "The Role of SMEs in Indonesia in Encouraging the Green Economy Concept for Quality Economic Growth," by the author Anzar Alfat Firdaus, Prasetyani, and Devina Anida, from ID number 127, titled "Rice Husk Biochar Applications as a Mitigation Strategy for Nitrous Oxide and Methane Emission in Sandy Paddy Soil," from the other Gendro Indri Wahyuningsih, Makoto Shibata, and Shinya Funakawa, and from ID 156, entitled "Environmental Issues, Poverty and Media, Diplomatic Analysis," from the other Diana Wahyuningsih and Sri Hastarjo. I can see here that we have Ibu Gendro Indri Wahyuningsih and Ibu Diana Wahyuningsih present in this Zoom group. Thank you for joining us. And now, audio operator, please play the video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, everyone. Today I will present you our research about the role of SMEs in Indonesia in encouraging the green economic concept for quality economic growth. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Anzar Alfat Firdaus, and also my team that are Devina Arninda and Mrs. Prasetyani from Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas 11 Maret, Surakarta. Next part of the introduction section. The green economy is a new paradigm in the economy for the implementation of sustainable development strategies that prioritize the balance between economic, social, and environmental. Goding de Siono, 2014. An economy built on an awareness of the importance of an ecosystem that balances the activities of economic actors with the availability of resources. Sergei 2015. Next. Business development activities in this case, namely MSMEs, must be able to pass on wealth for future generations in the form of environmental assets and natural resources. The role of MSMEs is a priority in every stage of development planning. MSMEs can be one of the main contributors to environmental pollution, both from the production and consumption process. Setiarko, 2018. The concept of a green economy with a green GDP indicator can provide new and better hope for the implementation of sustainable development for MSMEs in Indonesia in order to internalize environmental aspects into economic activities according to Kristianto 2020. Next section in the literature review. Siono et al. 2017. The purpose of this study is how to strengthen production and institution on the performance of SMEs based on the green economy. The methodology used in this research is to make observation and provide questionnaires to SMEs. Then, the result of the questionnaires and tabulated and analyzed using a structural equation model, and then analyzed with AMOS. Based on statistical analysis, it is found that by production and stagnant institution it has a significant effect on the economy-based SMEs. Iswati et al. 2020, the study aimed to analyze the factors that influence knowledge of green economies entrepreneurship in SMEs in West Java. The variables reviewed in the study are the role of entrepreneurship, education, media, community leaders, and the government on knowledge on green entrepreneurship. The finding implies that it is this study, Iswanti et al. 2020, is important to increase knowledge on green entrepreneurship. Pangarso et al. 2017, micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, play an important role in the economy of the country. So managers must try to run their business in accordance with the current green economy concept. Green economy is an economic concept that makes environmental sustainability an important part in realizing Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. The performance of MSMEs in terms of the green economy is a benchmark for the success of an MSMEs in implementing the green economy concept. Next, in the section of methods, type of research is qualitative. Research subject is MSMEs in Indonesia. The analysis techniques is a literature review system. And then variable green economy and MSMEs. Next, in the section of result, entrepreneurship education to improve green economy. To generate new outputs, the green economy emphasizes the information of production ideas, activities, and innovation using technology to drive sustainable growth, according Lotfi et al. 2018. In business practice, knowledge on green entrepreneurship is applied, such as reduction environmental damage. Achieve unbalanced balance between the company's revenue growth, considering the environmental and considering creativity and new green business methods. Priorities the development of goods and services for profitability and green trade, provide the prospect of professionalism. The result of Iswanti et al. 2020 shown that entrepreneurship education has a positive effect on the perception of the green economy, as on the test result, with a significant. A community of people awareness, skills, and habits are usually passed down through teaching, training, or study from one generation to the next, according to Dewi 19 and 44. Therefore, education can instill principle of caring for the environment and promote appropriate behavior. Integrating the green concept in entrepreneurship education is indeed necessary. The education system promotes responsibility for thinking and treating alternatives to new ideas. The role of education to increase knowledge of the green economy is to create public awareness to achieve sustainable development, like green education curriculum provide knowledge and skill needed in industry, apply green concept in every process in education. This program will cause divergent thinking among students and help them in all kinds of social interaction. The role of institutions in MSME is to improve the green economy. Based on the final research of Sriono et al. Research 2017, the results of the variable are not good. They show that model is not well established. Most of the goodness of fit indicators do not show valid results. The result of the hypothesis analysis that show that the role of institution has a significant and positive effect on the green economy. As is known, the business strategy carried, but in the production department has a great responsibility for the creation of good performance. Design the if production innovation is carried out properly, it can create and clean environment. Coding Ferry 2012. A clean environmental and good performance are the impact of the production process. With the right process, maximum performance is obtained. Institutional arrangement also have an important role. Good governance and clear work standard result in maximum performance. Good performance and production with a green economy orientation will have an advantage to compete. Raja 2013. The role of MSM is to improve the green economy. According to Sriono Research 2017, it shows that SM is entrepreneur in the Sidoarjo Regency are shown that entrepreneurs have implemented a green process industry in its activity unit, especially for waste from the production process. That is not development of a business. There are always social and economic difference. For the development of companies in each country, recommendations are needed to strengthen environmental enforcement. The existence of business activities with various technologies that are expected to minimize the resulting pollution because it will have an impact on the future. According to Sriono 2017, the technological development will not stop as a system but a reflection for sustainability in the future. Technology will continue to move and provide new and efficient solutions. In addition to technological development, according to Stanfield et al. 2012, that information and information technology has benefits for local small companies to obtain information about process based on the green economy. Okay. And then next session in the discussion, based on the results that have been presented by several studies that have been collected by research that MSM is strongly support the improvement of the green economy, where according to the Ministry of Investment or PKPM, that MSM is contribute greatly to GDP, namely 61.97% of Indonesia's total national income. This is because the existence of MSMEs really helped the Indonesian state in increasing national income. The green economy here is measured by the value of green national income according to Kristianto 2012. That green GDP is calculated by identifying the degree environmental physical quantification of environmental degradation, economic evaluation of environmental degradation. Grading Putra 2013. Green economy is an important concept that can be applied by the government guiding decision making for a sustainability policy. The role of digitalization in MSMEs also helps increase the green economy. This is because business activities with various technologies are expected to minimize the resulting pollution because it will have an impact on the future. Technology development will not stop a system but a reflection for sustainability in the future. Technology will continue to move and provide new and efficient solutions. In addition to technology development, according to Stanfield et al. 2012, that information and information technology has benefits for local small companies to obtain information about projects based on the green economy. Global conditions are increasing. SMEs must improve their skills with innovation, as well as adopt advanced technology and communication to improve the ability of entrepreneurs to improve management. Okay, the last section about conclusion. Number one, this study concludes that the increase in green knowledge among SMEs is influenced by several factors, including the role of entrepreneurship education, the role of the media, the role of community leaders, and the government. Number two, the media motivate people to adhere to pro-environmental behavior. Community leaders are potential agents of change in society. Number three, the government support the development of an entrepreneurial innovation by providing recycling facilities. This disseminating green entrepreneurship information, distributing and distributing. Number four, institutional and production strengthening will have a significant and positive effect on the performance of green economy-based SMEs. And the last, the government can place strong legal regulation so that MSMEs run their business according to the green economy concept. This pressure is important to be more oriented towards sustainable development. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kendra Indriwayoningsih. I belong to Department of Environmental Science and Technology, Kyoto University. Today, I would like to deliver my presentation about rice's biochar application as a mitigation strategy for nitrous oxide and methane emission in sandy paddy soil. As we know, rice has become the staple crop globally, and greater food demand on rice can cause several environmental problems. For example, produce more rices and increase GHG emission. In this study, we use sandy soil because it will emit higher nitrous oxide emission due to a lower percentage of water-filled pore space, promoting nitrification rate. And sandy soil also increase the diffusivity of methane to the atmosphere, and it has lower amount of free manganese dioxide and ferric oxide, thus reducing the sequence of electron acceptor use in methane production. So biochar is carbon-rich porous material produced under limited oxygen status, and the characteristics are determined by the feedstock and pyrolysis condition. So the increase of politic temperature leads to the augmentation of surface area and micropores in biochar, and it may have potential to decrease both methane and nitrous oxide emission. So converting rices to biochar might be one viable option for reducing agricultural waste, decreasing GHG emission without declining the yield. Mid-season drainage is the removal of surface water from the rice crop at mid to late tillering for 10 until 14 days. So the previous studies found that mid-season drainage is widely used in Japan to reduce ineffective tillers, and it also decreased the average methane by enhancing oxygen availability in rhizosphere. However, it has side effects due to a trade-off relationship between methane and nitrous oxide. So it is necessary to find the best combination of agricultural practices to decrease both nitrous oxide and methane gas emission, as well as increase the crop yield simultaneously. So the objectives of these studies were to determine the response of nitrous oxide and methane emission to rice's biochar and different irrigation type, and also to assess the impacts of rice's biochar and irrigation type on plant growth indicator and crop productivity. So the pot experiment was conducted in the Greenhouse Graduate School of Agriculture, Kyoto University, and this study used randomized block design with 3 treatments. The first one is pyrolytic temperature, consisted of 300, 450, and 600 degrees Celsius, and then biochar application rate, 20 and 200 kilogram per hectare, and water management type, mid-season drainage, and continuous flooding condition. And these treatments were replicated 3 times. This study also used sandy loam soil with slightly acid pH, and then TCT and NCN ratio were relatively low. The fertilizer used were nitrogen 100 kilogram per hectare, phosphorus and potassium 90 kilogram per hectare for each. These are the agricultural events during my study, started from basal fertilizer and biochar application until the rice harvesting and soil sampling. For the methodology, started from biochar production using laboratory scale production, and then proximate analysis was conducted to measure moisture, volatile matter, ash, fixed carbon content, and carbon loss during pyrolysis. And then elemental analysis was used to measure the chemical properties of biochar. For the gas sampling, we measure methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide gases using closed chamber method. And the gases were taken in triplicate 0, 15, and 30 minutes in the morning and in the evening. Soil surface water temperature, pH, and soil redox potential were also measured. And we'll also take the liquid sample, soil samples and plant sample, and then the inorganic nitrogen, carbon, and nitrogen content of the soil, and also the weekly plant growth indicator, the yield, and carbon and nitrogen content of rice straw and rice grain were also measured. We are moving to result and discussion part. So the increasing of pyrolytic temperature lead to the decrease of biochar yield. It's because more compound converted into other products such as gases. And the increase of temperature also increased the ash content because the residual concentration of inorganic compounds. It also influenced calcium and magnesium content of biochar due to the separation of alkali salt from organic matter, and indirectly increased the biochar pH. Silica was also augmented because the increased temperature changed the form of original silica to be amorphous. For the gas parameters, so the first one is methane emission. The methane trend during the rice cultivation started from the initial stage. It was close to 0 because this study only used inorganic fertilizer and biochar application without adding any organic matter. And then the increase of vegetative stage because more developed parenchyma tissue will emit more methane to the atmosphere. And then the decreasing trend during the last stage of grain maturity, it's because the reduced available assimilates for methane production. Mid-season drainage also promoted soil redox potential values by enhancing gas diffusion and oxygen availability, thus reducing methanogen but increasing methanotropes population. And it became the responsible factor for effective reduction of cumulative methane emission. During mid-season drainage also decreased nitrate leaching due to a smaller amount of leaching water from paddy field. And the study also found a positive correlation because the methanotrophic bacteria that has a relatively high nitrogen requirement for assimilating carbon. So the increase of nitrate leaching and continuous flooding condition might decrease nitrogen availability for methanotropes activity in methane consumption. So generally, biochar significantly influence soil pH. In a higher soil pH, resulted in a higher cumulative nitrous oxide emission and
Greeting from Indonesia. My name is Rutia Nadwi Wahyuningsih and Sri Hascaryo as my co-authors. We are from Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas 11 Maret, Surakarta, Indonesia. Here we'll present our paper entitled Environmental Issues, Poverty and Media, a Bibliometric Analysis. We have two problems as background our study. First, the fact of environmental poverty and media are interconnected in the concept of sustainable development goals. But it was found that media didn't play a maximum role in communicating on environmental issues and poverty. So our problem statement, how is the cluster of study on environmental issues, poverty, and media role? And what is the gap of research topic that still has a high opportunity of being developed? The study aimed to present the mapping of study on how the interrelation is between environmental poverty and media in the study published at Scopus database during 2016 to July 2022. Novelty in this study complement that gap of bibliometric analysis on environmental and poverty issues by using different database adds media as connecting variable and promotes justice environment value in the analysis. We use some concept and preposition as theoretical framework. First, we use the concept that essential need of the poor in the world that should be prioritized and limited ability of environment to fulfill the present and the future needs must be controlled. We used to argument that relation between environmental and poverty issues. Group 1 argues that the poor to damage the environment physically to meet their economic need regardless the environmental society. Group 2 argues environmental change result in poverty. And we use 5 rules of media for SDGs. First, media as channel of information flow, media as monitoring and accountability watchdog, media as enabler of a culture of peace, media as the upholder of marginalized voices, media facilitating the localization SDGs. This research employs a quantitative research using bibliometric review within the Scopus database. The period is 2016 to July 2022 and publication limited in English journal and conference proceeding. We conduct co-occurrence analysis and we use post-viewer software to visualize and to analyze bibliometric network. Our study results are poverty is the most dominant keyword, closely related the keyword environment, sustainable development, ecology, environmental economic, environmental factor being the main theme of research during 2016 to 2022. Overly of keywords appearing after 2021 reveals that direction of research still open in the future. That's quality control, environmental quality, news media, and social media. Take a look at picture 1 and picture 2. Picture 1 shows keyword occurrence network visualization, and picture 2 shows keyword occurrence overlay visualization. For clusters, we find out Cluster 1, the main theme with special coverage of poverty, environmental issues, and public awareness of the issues. Cluster 2 shows environmental aspect with influence factor and affected area. Cluster 3 focus on implementation of environmental policy for sustainable development, and Cluster 4 focus on the risk of an environmental effect on multidimensional poverty and risk mitigation strategy. And the topics of articles are also classified into the following categories. First, categories promotive, it is represented by the word public awareness, social media, news media. Preventive, it is represented by the word environmental protection, environmental quality, and strategic approach. Rehabilitative, it is represented by the word environmental restoration. Our study draws some conclusion. All clusters are closely interrelated and interconnected in sustainable development goals. All of them provide research direction significantly to at individual, social, economic, and public levels. The limitation of research use only one database source, that is Scopus, and cannot explain phenomenon in Indonesia. So, for the research, I recommended to study Indonesia's specific context and to expand the database use. In addition, the future research can use a variety of meta-analytical techniques to analyze literature relevant to environmental poverty issues and new media. We recommend 4 questions for next further research. First, how is the interrelation between environmental issue, poverty issue, and media advocacy in the context of developed countries? Second, what is the effect of environmental change on urban society, and what is surviving strategy taken by the poor group? Third, how to optimize new media, including social media, as the advocacy of sustainable pro-living environment, poverty alleviating policy. Fourth, how to socialize environmental justice issue to make a policy of regional development, economic and regional poverty alleviating policies. That's all of our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for all the presentations. And we have 2 presenters in this room, Ibu Gendro Indi Wahyuningsi and Ibu Widina Wahyuningsi. So if there are any questions, feel free. You can raise hand or put it on the chat box. Questions? Okay, due to the time, and we try to make these sessions keep running on time, we will go to the next 2 video presentations before we come to the break sessions. The first is from ID 158 with the titles Implications of Corporate Social Responsibility Legal Policies in Indonesia on the Impact of Saving the Environment. And we also have Ibu Diah Permata Budi Asri present in this room. And so as the other is Siti Rohamah Ika, Edi Sriyono, and Winarno. Pak Winarno is also present in this room. And the second one is from ID 198, entitled The Impact of the Russia-Ukraine War on Green Energy Financing in Europe, by the author Bimo Saktiawan, M. Juan Swamtoro, and Nugroho Saputro. Please play the video.
Thank you for the time. Let me introduce myself. My name is Diah Permata Budi Asri, and I will present my paper entitled is Implication of Corporate Social Responsibility Legal Policy in Indonesia on the Impact of Saving the Environment. Introduction. Environmental problems are an important issue because cases of pollution and environmental damage due to company activities are alike to be the cause of the high rate of pollution and environmental damage in Indonesia. The government of Indonesia has issued various regulations in the context of environmental protection and management. The various regulatory policy in Indonesia have provided clear guidelines regarding environmental management. In reality, there are still violations by a company in exploiting Indonesian natural resources. The problems: how is the government legal policy on GSR in managing and maintaining the environment in Indonesia, especially for mining and oil companies? And number two, how is the implementation of government policy regarding GSR by company in the context of saving the environmental in Indonesia? Research methods. The type of research in writing this legal journal is normative legal research, whose data sources come from secondary legal materials. The type of approach used is a statutory approach with data sourced from primary legal materials in the form of legal regulation on GSR and secondary legal materials consisting of books, journals, and other literature related to the topic of discussion. Research and discussion. Legal regulation in Indonesia on corporate social responsibility, CSR, and the environment. Article 74 of Law Number 40 of 2007 concerning limited liability companies, PP number 47 of 2012 concerning social responsibility and limited liability companies, Article number 15 of Law Number 25 of 2007 concerning investment, Law of Number 32 of 2009 concerning environmental protection and management, Law of Number 4 of 2009 concerning mineral and coal mining, which has been amended by the Job Creation Law. Implementation of GSR in the context of saving the environment. Several companies in the mining and oil sector have implemented GSR in the context of the environmental management, including Arutmin Indonesia, Turbaindo Coal Mining, Mandiri Inti Perkasa, Indobara Kalimantan, Barindo Ikatama, Mahakam Sumberjaya, Multi Harapan Utama, Beral Coal, and many more. The various companies spends on GSRs varies depending on the company's ability. From the available data, it ranks from 600 million to 95 billion rupiah. The average CSR activities carried out are capacity of village government and community, sanitation and public health, agribusiness development, conservation of nature and culture, build water treatment ponds in its mining area, village lighting, and more. Even some companies carry out GSR in the context of environmental management by using the standard ISO 27000. The setting for ISO activities in social responsibility lies in the common understanding that GSR is very important for the continuation of an organization. This understanding was reflected in two sessions, namely in the 1992 Rio Earth Summit on the Environment and the 2002 World Summit on Sustainable Development, which were held in South Africa. ISO 26000 translates social responsibility as the responsibility of an organization for the impact of its decisions and activities on society and the environment, without transparent and ethical behavior, which, number one, consistent with sustainable development and community welfare. Number two, taking into account the interests of stakeholders. Number three, in accordance with applicable law and consistent with international norms. And number four, integrated in all organizational activity. In this sense, include both activities, products, and services. Thank you for your attention.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Bima Setiawan. I will present our paper with title The Impact of the Russia-Ukraine War on Green Energy Financing in Europe. Introduction: Russia is a natural gas supplier, energy supplier, and the world's best oil producer after the United States. Russia will provide 13% oil and 70% natural gas globally in 2020. At the same time, 40% of European gas need to be supplied by Russia. One-third of the demand for natural gas supplied by Russia in Europe is used for power generation, industrial production, and heating in winter. In addition, more than 25% of European Union crude oil import are also from Russia, making the European Union heavily dependent on Russia fossil fuel. Russia is not only the world's best exporter of natural gas and oil, but is a significant exporter of this commodity to Europe. From this situation, European countries must short-term and long-term solution to remove dependence on fossil energy from Russia based on IEL 10-point plan. A short-term measure aimed by suspending the recipient of any new gas purchase contract with Russia and maximum gas supply from other sources. In addition, energy efficiency in household and industry must be suppressed as much as possible. We secondary data over several periods obtained from various sources, such Eurostat and World Bank and European Commission are also green maps. Then we try to build the impact between the Russia-Ukraine war and the green investment in Europe. As an indication, according to data from Eurostat, almost all of the European Union member states expect two countries experience an increase in the use of renewable energy between 2019 and 2020. Renewable energy consumption increased from 90.88% in 2019 to 22.9% in 2020 in the gross energy consumption. This is supported by using sustainable energy in power generation from renewable energy source, which increased from 34.1% to 37.5% in 2020. Countries in Europe are very dependent on Russian natural gas supply because of their enormous consumption. Europe's total energy needs of 40% use of gas, 32% oil, 80% biofuel, and 11% solid fossil fuel. As an illustration, almost a third of the energy in European countries is still dependent on Russian fossil fuel supply. This is reflected in the value of energy import from Russia as it is a leading supplier. It is still high in figure 2. Looking at the data from the World Bank, Eurostat, at the European Commission report on statista.com, it can be seen where the value of the energy import of European countries from Russia from 2006 to 2021. In the 2017, the value of import of European Union energy product from Russia is 85 billion euro. This value then increased to 101.2 billion euro in 2018, and briefly dropped to 88 billion euro in 2019. Even in 2021 alone, the total value of energy import to Russia will reach $147.8 billion. The European Union is committed to providing financial and technical support by the Green Deal through the Just Transition Mechanism, with more than 150 billion euro budget for mass place and sector affected by the campaign for social and economical 2021-2027. The European Council has set an overall limit target of 30% thereafter to the total spending from MFF 2021 to 2027 and the next generation European Union. In particular, the European Union agreed to invest the budget for the use of renewable energy to escape Russian dependence on fossil energy. The use of alternative energy and the acceleration of the transition to new and renewable energy EBT could increase from the original target of 40% to 45% by 2030. Realizing the repower European Union goal will require an additional investment of 210 billion euro to 300 billion euro between 2022 and 2027. This amount is an investment for the independence and security of the European Union, where the energy is weakened by the Russian side in the face of the emerging event. The investment need to build a new energy system is totally and environmentally friendly that does not depend on Russia as a European natural gas supplier. 293 billion euro is needed from 2022 to 2030, or around 266 billion euro at the end of 2027. This analysis shows to optimize the potential for environmentally friendly energy to reduce dependence on natural gas, about 122 BCM. Conclusion: with Russian military presence in Ukraine, European countries have become more aware of realizing their dependence on energy import from Russia. Although embargo sanctions in other economic sectors have been applied, it is still not optimal if they adopt energy from there. The value of European energy import from Russia is at 100 billion euro annually, and a considerable number is one of country's GDP income sector. On the other hand, the use of alternative energy in Europe continues to increase yearly. In 2020 alone, the use of alternative energy has reached to 22.9%. However, this amount is not enough to cover the fossil energy needs of Russia. The war and the embargo on Russia forced European countries to increase the target for using renewable energy from 40% to 45% in 2030. The increase in this target also met the required budget increase. It takes at least 210 billion euro to 300 billion euro for this plan to be realized. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for all the presenters, and we will first give a chance to Mr. Septianto Galamprakoso, who will ask questions from the previous presentation sessions and probably have also questions for this session.
Yes.
Monggo, Pak, silakan.
Thank you very much, Pak Irfan Ismail, for the opportunity. Actually, I have a question for the previous presenter from the previous video session for Bu Indri Wahyuningsih about the rice husk. Unfortunately, we cannot see the presentation up until the last conclusion. But what I want to ask is, first of all, first of all, and then what I want to ask is about the type of soil that is used. You just mentioned the sandy muddy soil. Is it? I just want to confirm. Is it Kuroboku soil that usually found in the areas near Kyoto, or it can also be applied to other type of soil for planting the plants, like plate soil or just like simple elements of other type of fields that you may find also maybe in Indonesia or other place? Because yeah, rice husk is very common method. Gabah bakar or sekam bakar is very common as a way to mengikat unsur hara in East Asia. But I just want to know that, is it only working effectively as a mitigation, mitigation apparatus to the methane and nitrous oxide in Japan, since the soil also support it? So it's Kuroboku soil. That's my first question. And the second question is for the just the previous video about Ukraine, for Mr. Bimo, for Mas Bimo. Are Mas Bimo present in the room? Yes. Yeah. Actually, I want to ask about the prospects and maybe your future endeavor of research towards this matter, since actually my background is international relations. So when we talk about the use of the renewable, or maybe the use of the alternative energy source in the European Union, is there any other any other location that is compatible to use as source? Because from what I've learned, from what I've known, just basically from literature and from my friends, that the most renewable energy that are exists in European Union right now is mostly belong to the coastal areas and not on the heartland of EU. For example, they built the what you call the wind farm where they use the windmill to generate electricity. It's basically working mostly in Scandinavian region and also in the UK Isles, also in Ireland. But when we talk about continental Europe, because they are still very heavily depend on this gas from Russia, it will become a certain problem for them. In the 2030 project that you mentioned in your presentation, is there any detail on that, on where they would place or what kind of form of the alternative energy resources will be? I think that's all for my two questions. Thank you very much for your response after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Monggo, Ibu Gendro.
Hi. Thank you for the question, Mr. Septianto. Actually, I'm not so sure about Koruboko soil. But in my study, I use sandy soil from the Japanese paddy field, and also in my study, I measure the soil texture, and it was the sandy loam soil. So I think if we want to apply it in Indonesia soil, it can be, as long as it has the similar characteristic with the soil that I use. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Bayuningsih. Yeah, basically I just want to make sure, because this Kuroboku type of soil is actually already very fertile, and where you add the sekam bakar, whether it will help the performance of it when to bind the nitrous oxide and also the methane. But yeah, thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you. And now, Mas Bimo Saktiawan, I see your presence in this room. You probably can help me.
Thank you for the question. I think it's a very good question. But honestly, we don't know all the specific on the renewable energy, because in our research, we try to search about the funding in the renewable energy. And can I share screen in this room? So, can I share screen in this room, so, Mr. Ivan?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Okay.
Please, you can do now.
Thank you. Is not disabled for participants. I cannot share screen right now.
Wait. Should be okay now. Let's try it again.
Okay, nice. This table is not ready on my PPT, but is in my paper, but on short-term prepare, and mid-term and long-term. In data, this comes some kind of the measure about the renewable energy and the funding about this. We can see about the on the short term is in the nuclear plant, also in the biomass and the energy efficiency, and right, and the solar value and the wind is the also okay. Maybe it's not the specific of the answer of the for your question, because we try to the result of the funding on the renewable energy, not on the specific the renewable energy. Is about other like kind of this. mungkin maybe is the answer of the question, Mr. Septian.
Yes, thank you very much for the answers for both of the presenters. I also get insights from the answers. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Irfan. Back to you.
Thank you very much. And we also already have Ibu Mila Sofiati from ID 128. Ibu, would you like to answer the previous questions? We have questions from Pak Minarno before, and at that time, nobody in the room. So would you like to answer it now, or can just go on? Okay. Thank you very much for all the presenters for giving such an informative and comprehensive presentation for the first part. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a short refreshment for, let's say, 20 minutes. Before you leave this room, let me convey some information. First, we'd like to all participants to fill out the attendance list via the link sent in the chat box. And two, presenter certificate will be sent by the committee a maximum of 3 days after the event. Three, we ask all participants to attend the General Assembly sessions, which will be held on August 25, 2022. That is tomorrow via Zoom or YouTube with a link that has been shared by the committee or can be viewed on the website. And for information regarding publications and when the publications fee will be paid will be announced further by the committee via email. And that's all for the informations. Please return to this room at 10:20 Solo time and we will continue the second part of the presentations. Thank you. Assalamualaikum Bapak Ibu semuanya. Since the time is now 10:21, just to make sure we can make it time, let's continue for the second session. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for still joining the second sessions of the parallel sessions of the 9th International Conference on Sustainable Agriculture and Environment, IGSIA 9. And without further ado, let's go next to the another three video presentations. The first is from ID 23 with the title The Correlation Study of Several Chemical Extractants in Tropical Soils Contaminated with Copper. We have Pak Abdul Qadir Salam present here. Thank you. And from the ID 67, titled Estimated Sediment Exports and Erosions in Central Citarum Watershed. We also have Pak Jaka Suryanta present here, and also as the others is Irmadi Nahib, Mulyanto Darmawan, Fahmi Amhar, Ibu Tusantika, and Diwangudi. The third video is from ID 77, titled Foliar Fertilizers Improve Food Set and Yield of Cayenne Pepper, Capsicum Fruit Sense L, Grounds of Seasons. And we also have Pak Iko Mangga Marzain present here. Thank you. And also as others, Khairina Umami, M. Zainal Arifin, Dwi Ratna Anugrahwati, and Baik Jurnalisnya. Please play the video.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Abdul Qadir Salam from the University of Lampung. Today, I want to present the result of my very current research in the University of Lampung. The title is The Correlation Study of Several Chemical Extractants in Tropical Soil Contaminated with Copper. As you know, that in developing the analytical technique for soil element, there are three very important steps that we have to do. The first step is the development of chemical extractant. The second step is the correlation study. And then the third step is the calibration study. And what I did in my current research is the correlation studies conducted in the greenhouse. So the objective of this research was to evaluate the correlation between copper uptake and by several plants and soil copper extracted by several extractants in the greenhouse experiment. To conduct this research, we need a soil sample with differing increasing concentration of heavy metal, and in this case is a copper concentration. So I use soil sample from an experimental plot that I set it in 1998 or 23 years ago, amended with heavy metal containing waste at a different level. And I took the soil sample into the greenhouse, and exactly about 200 grams of air dry soil sample was put into a 300 milliliter pot with a small hole at the bottom. And the pot was placed on a piece of wooden board, also with a hole to capillary moist soil sample at the soil fill water capacity through a cotton wick connected to a common water reservoir beneath. The plant seed and seedling was previously prepared, were planted on the soil sample after the soil sample reaching their fill water capacity. Plants were allowed to grow for 4 weeks at the soil fill water capacity. And the soil and plants were sampled at the end of the 4 weeks plant growth and analyzed for copper contents. The correlation coefficient between the copper uptake by each plant and the soil copper concentration by each of the various extractants were then calculated. And the result was astonishing. And as you can see from the sample in this figure, with the extractant of one normal hydrochloric acid with various plants, we found high correlation between the soil copper extracted and the absorption of copper by plant. You can see that the land spinach show a high correlation with the soil copper, also corn, and also Thornia amaranthus, and also the um, Napier grass. So you can see that from this figure that one normal hydrochloric acid was best in predicting the concentration or the content of heavy metal, in this case copper, by land spinach, corn, and also Thornia amaranthus and Napier grass. And the high correlation was shown not only by that plant and also that extraction, but also by various extractant here and various plants. For example, you can see that the one normal hydrochloric acid show high correlation with the absorption of copper by almost every tested plant except for the thorny amaranthus here. And high correlation was also shown by various extractant and various plants here. As you can see from the high correlation demonstrated that nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, DTPA, ammonium acetate, and calcium chloride were good for predicting plant copper uptake. For land spinach and unbuffered DTPA for Napier grass, the uptake of copper by amaranth was best predicted by ammonium acetate, and for chiasm and water spinach was best predicted by calcium chloride. And for corn, land spinach and Thornia amaranthus was best predicted by ammonium acetate, and lettuce and Napier grass was best predicted by one normal hydrochloric acid. Thank you for your
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear moderator, thank you for the opportunity and time to present our paper with the title Estimated Sediment Export and Erosion in Citarum Watershed. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jaka Suryanta. With my team, I from National Research and Innovation Agency of Indonesia. And my presentation layout, number one is background, and then research purposes, research area, method and data, result and discussion, and then conclusion. On the background, soil erosion rate within a landscape are affected by geology, topography, slope, climate, soil type, and vegetation. There are 4 stages involved in the process of soil erosion: EA, detachment, breakdown, transport or redistribution, and deposition of sediment. Sediment dynamic at the catchment scale are mainly determined by climate, soil properties, topographic, and vegetation. And then where the Citarum In addition to experiencing problem with water availability and quality, the Citarum watershed is also experiencing problem with soil erosion and sedimentation. The impact of climate change and land use cover are the main cause of reduced yield and water quality, as well as threat of soil erosion and sediment. Thus, monitoring of water condition and soil erosion are prioritized. In our study, we attempt to explain sediment export through analysis of change in soil loss and SGR using the inverse SGR model. And then research purposes, the objective of the study to estimate the spatial distribution of sediment export and soil erosion in Central Citarum. And study area, the research was conducted in 2022 in the Citarum subwatershed, which include 17 small subwatersheds. And geographically, it is located in West Java province with an area of 227,000 hectares, as shown in this figure. And data, we use digital elevation model, erosivity map, erodibility map, and land cover map, all of that in TIFF format. And then watershed or boundary shape file as a vector file or SHV. Non-spatial data and biophysical in table or metric. And this study used a method. The SGR model was executed using the inverse 3.9 software series. The sediment delivery module is a spatially explicit model working at the spatial resolution of the input digital elevation model raster. The sediment delivery ratio for each pixel is a function of the upslope area and downslope flow. Considering input data, complexity, and model uncertainty, the inverse SGR model was chosen. It calculates the sediment export by integrating a soil loss algorithm. And then the result, the part A, sediment export. Refer to table 1, the total export of sediment from the Central Citarum watershed was 1.61 million tons per year, or an annual average of 20.31 tons per hectare per year. By largest distribution in sub-watershed Cilawang, it's about 36.56%. And B, sediment distribution. The distribution of sediment export based on figure GA so that it is proportional to the distribution of retention sediment in figure 3B. Land cover factor and soil property determine the amount of soil erosion produced and the availability of sediment storage. Part C, soil erosion. Table 2. Total soil erosion is about 23.16 million tons per year, or an annual average of 102.01 tons per hectare per year, with the largest distribution in Cilawang subwatershed. Is about 35.12%. And then sediment delivery ratio. Sediment delivery ratio for Central Citarum is 19.91, with values ranging from 3.77 to 23.41%. The sub-watershed in the highest SGR value are Cipada subwatershed. The larger SGR value indicate that the proportion of soil erosion that can be deposited is more. Based on the distribution, the sub-watershed with the largest distribution were The Cilalong subwatershed is about 41.6 T. And for discussion, number one, sediment export. The existence of different in sediment export in the watershed is influenced by natural factors such as soil properties and type, topography and vegetation and rainfall intensity, as well as anthropogenic factors such as land clearing activities for agriculture. And then number two, soil erosion. According to the Indonesian government standard document, the Central Citarum area has an average soil erosion of 10.17 until 197.31 tons per hectare per year, dominated by moderate class 3. And then number three, SCR, the finding of the value of ADR in Central Citarum with an average value of 19.91 are smaller than the finding of ADIS 300 cost research in 2002 is about 27.6%. And the conclusion, the results show that the SCR value in Central Citarum was 3.77% to 23.41% with an average value of 19.91%. Central Citarum are mostly 94.26% is level 3 for categories as moderate. The average sediment export in Central Citarum is 20.31 tons per hectare per year. Furthermore, effort to reduce sediment export to Cirata and Jatiluhur should be focused on the sub-watershed, mainly Cilalong sub-watershed. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
And for video with ID 77. Okay, seems like we have a little technical problem with the
Yeah, what happened that, moderator?
What happened that? The video player is crashed. So wait,
oh, so sorry.
Okay, yeah. Wait, can wait from here. Wait a moment, sir. The operator have a mental problem, so I will download the video and try to play it from my place.
I can't hear the sound, please. Good day. Today, I'm going to present our research paper titled Foliar Fertilizer Improve Proof Set and Yield of Cayenne Pepper, Capsicum Frutescens, L, Ground Off Season. My name is Komang Damarjaya, and I'm representing my other colleagues here, Hairina Umami, Muhammad Zainal Arifin, Dwirana Nugrahwati, and Bayi Erna Listiana. All of us come from Faculty of Agriculture, University of Mataram. For the introduction of our research paper, that Cayenne pepper, availability and price fluctuate depending on the season. As you all aware that during the rainy season, the price and the production very low and the price is very high. That's why the dryland has a great opportunity to produce Cayenne pepper during the rainy season, which usually we call as off-season production. However, one of the problem in growing Cayenne pepper off-season is the flower abortion due to the heavy rainfall. Earlier studies suggest that organic foliar fertilizer reduces the percentage of flower abortion. Therefore, the purpose of the study was to study the effect of some foliar fertilizer on fruit set and yield of two Cayenne pepper varieties grown off-season in dryland. For the material and method, we tested two varieties of Cayenne pepper, an open pollinated one with the commercial name Shred, and a hybrid variety. The commercial name is Dewata 43. We tested 4 foliar fertilizer treatment plus 1 without foliar fertilizer. The foliar fertilizer tested were organic biofertilizer with the commercial name POMI, a mix of silicate and boron, the commercial name XO, micronutrient foliar fertilizer with commercial name Merauke Phytoplex, and a mix of macro and micronutrients, the commercial name is Bifolan. All the treatment were arranged in a randomized block design with factorial with 3 replication. Each plot size, and here the 6 square meter, and there were 22 plants per plot. The experiment ran during the rainy season from October 2021 to March 2022. The soil characteristic, especially the chemical properties, is as this: the pH quite neutral, the organic and nitrogenous very low, even though P availability high, the potassium exchange moderate, but we consider the soil is poor in nutrients, and the texture was sandy loam. The result of the studies, when we measured the environment parameter, the average maximum was 33.4, the minimum 24.5, relative humidity maximum 87.5%, the minimum 55%, and the total rainfall quite high, 1,118 millimeters. So all these parameters suggest that the cayenne pepper got a very good condition to grow. However, in terms of the rainfall, we transplanted on the 28th November, and the final harvest up to the 5th harvest for both Dewata and Shred, which is Shred, 5th final harvest was later. In this period, the rainfall was scattered and rare. That's why we had to water the plant once in the first week of January. For the results in here, we found out that the plant height is the open pollinated one genetically is taller and larger diameter, but the leaf number much more in hybrid variety. However, the size of the leaf of the open pollinated one is much larger than the hybrid one. For the effect of foliar fertilizer, as we can see in here, the bioorganic and silicon improve the plant height, but not the micronutrient and mixed nutrient, because it's showing the same result as the non-foliar fertilizer treated plant. No difference in leaf number. And then for the stem diameter, still the bioorganic foliar fertilizer showed the best results. The performance of the cayenne pepper in the field. And for the fruit set, the fruit set in here, as we can see, that no difference was found between the two hybrid variety, but with foliar fertilizer treatment, we can see here that all the foliar fertilizer showed better result than the no foliar fertilizer treatment, which is the best we found in bioorganic foliar fertilizer. For the number of fruits, and then the same, the bioorganic was the best, the weight of fruit per plant, along with the weight of fruit per plot. The correlation between fruit set and fruit weight per plot was strong, only 0.7, but not really strong. This is due to some attack that we found in the field. We found that some fruit of the cayenne pepper were attacked by fruit flies, the oriental fruit fly, as we can see in here, the sign of the fruit fly already laid egg inside the fruit. For the conclusion of the study, that's no interaction between variety and foliar fertilizer affected fruit set and yield of cayenne pepper grown off-season in dryland. The fruit set in hybrid and open pollinated variety was the same, but the hybrid variety yielded more than the open pollinated one. All foliar fertilizer improved fruit set, but only the bioorganic fertilizer improved the yield of cayenne pepper. That's the result of our study. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for all three presentations. And again, having discussion sessions for another 5 minutes. So if you have any questions or feedback, please. If you feel more comfortable using Bahasa Indonesia, it's also you can raise the hand.
Sorry, we cannot hear your voice.
Oh yeah? Still can't hear me? Test. You can still hear me?
It is better now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. We have another discussion session for another 5 minutes. And if you have any questions or feedback, it's please. And it's okay if you feel more comfortable using Bahasa Indonesia. It's also fine. Please. If there's any questions or any feedback. Okay. Okay. Okay, we can go to the another 3 presentations, and we have from the ID 86 entitled Disease Incidence of Fusarium Wilt in Organic Garlic Cultivations with Compost plus Glycladium on Endemic Land, and we have Ibu Dwiwiyati Nurul Septriani as the author that is joined with our Zoom room right now. And also as the others is Hadiono, Susilo Hambek Poromarto, Supiani, and Salim Widodo. And the second one is from ID 90, entitled Assessment of Seed Quality of Concentrating Rice Seed Cultivar. And we have the author Pak Aiman Hanafi Muhammad Fauzi. Thank you for joining the session. And also as the others, Siti Maslizah Abdul Rahman and Nur Suraya Abdullah. And the third is from ID 107, entitled Analysis of Bacterial Community from the Rhizosphere of Shallots, Allium ascalonicum L, in Brebes, Central Java, using next generation sequencing and GIS approach. And we also have Ibu Sutami. Thank you for presence here. And also as the others, Ratno Rosaria Stuti and Sri Hatati. Okay, please play the video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to present about disease incidence of Fusarium wilt in organic garlic cultivation with compost plus Glycladium on endemic plant. Garlic productivity by Tawangmangu farmers is still low, which is still below 10 tons per hectare. One of the causes is Fusarium oxysporum infection, which causes wilting and root rot of garlic. It can cause plant death of more than 60%. Biological control by utilizing antagonistic biological agents and organic matter is the right choice in implementing sustainable crop production. One of the ways to cultivate healthy garlic plants is the use of organic fertilizers such as compost and soil microbes as biological control agents. Glycladium sp is one type of fungus that can be used as a biological control agent for plant disease. Glycladium, classified as soil saprophyte fungi and used as biological agent, have multi-antagonistic mechanism and compatible against Fusarium oxysporum. Endemic disease Fusarium wilt.
Okay, probably we have another technical problem. Wait a moment, we try to overcome this.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to present about disease incidence of Fusarium wilt in organic garlic cultivation with compost plus Glycladium on endemic plant. Garlic productivity by Tawangmangu farmers is still low, which is still below 10 tons per hectare. One of the causes is Fusarium oxysporum infection, which causes wilting and root rot of garlic. It can cause plant death of more than 60%. biological control by utilizing antagonistic biological agents and organic matter is the right choice in implementing sustainable crop production. One of the ways to cultivate healthy garlic plants is the use of organic fertilizers such as compost and soil microbes as biological control agents. Gliocladium sp is one type of fungus that can be used as a biological control agent for plant disease. Gliocladium, classified as soil saprophyte fungi and used as biological agent, have multi-antagonistic mechanism and compatible against Fusarium oxysporum. The research conducted in the endemic disease Fusarium wilt of garlic in Tawangmangu, Karanganyar, Central Java. The study consists of 5 treatments consisting of compost plus gliocladium, compost, control without treatment, and comparison in the form of farmers' cultivation methods. The results of the application of gliocladium reduced the intensity of garlic Fusarium wilt significantly compared to control with no treatment, although it was still less effective than the farmer method. It is natural that farmers use fungicides, while in general short-term biological control is difficult to have the same effectiveness as fungicides. The application of compost plus gliocladium was most effective in reducing the incidence of Fusarium wilt in garlic plant on heavily contaminated Fusarium oxysporum soils. Based on both the intensity of the wilt intensity and the efficacy variables, it was very clear that the application of gliocladium compost and compost plus gliocladium was significantly effective, and the highest efficacy was the compost added with gliocladium 1 week before application. This can be explained because compost improves the health of garlic plant, which is shown that the plant that is fertilized with compost produce higher biomass and yields compared to plants without compost or by the farmer cultivation. The presence of gliocladium not only inhibits disease development but also provides nutrient availability for plants. Gliocladium as biological agents can repel the affected plants' roots by Fusarium oxysporum. This fungus is able to decrease the number of pathogenic colonies in the roots. Besides that, it also supports plant growth, especially in the absorption of nutrients for plants. Gliocladium also capable of carrying out the process of decomposition of organic matter, such as compost. By providing a source of organic matter, compost stimulates microbial growth, leading to competition between plant pathogens and beneficial microbes, which can reduce the number of potential infection sites for soil-borne pathogens. When compared to the way farmers use fungicides and synthetic chemical fertilizers, the application of gliocladium compost and compost plus gliocladium has the potential to replace farmers' methods. Based on its efficacy, compost plus gliocladium is the most recommended to be applied to replace the way farmers use fungicides or synthetic chemical fertilizers. Thus, the negative effect of the use of synthetic chemical fertilizers and fungicides can be reduced. Although an analysis of the garlic cultivation business with compost plus gliocladium has not been carried out, it can be understood that organic cultivation can reduce the cost for purchasing insecticide, synthetic chemical fertilizers, and the wage of application personnel. In addition, based on the observation of the yield variable, it showed that organic garlic cultivation with the application of compost plus gliocladium gave higher yields than the farmer method. Therefore, The use of compost plus Gliocladium is a prospective alternative as a biological control agent, increasing plant growth and being friendly to the environment. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we start today, thank you for having me. I will introduce myself. My name is Aiman Hanafi bin Muhammad Fauzi. Today I will present my title will be Assessment of Seed Quality of Contrasting Rice Seed Cultivar. My abstract ID will be number 90. All right. To the next one. So for introduction, we can see that paddy is categorized as annual crop to plant most on the specific time to achieve maximum yield. So we also know that aerobic paddy mainly produced in well drainage and non-puddle and non-saturated soil, which would demand increase in human population. The production of high seed quality for the future use become a great concern for most of the agronomists. We can see that in 2000 population. So as date to date, the climate change condition, climate condition and water scarcity give a significant impact on the yield and the quality of the paddy. So the environment stress such as high temperature and rock stress as a factor in seed quality performance, which be improved by City and Ellis in 2019, thus decrease the productivity of yield of component. So for the next one, for my research objectives is to examine the rice seed quality under elevated temperature during the early stage of seedling or vegetative phase. The second one will be to determine the yield component of the paddy as affected by high temperature. The last one will be discover the effect of environmental stress on the seed quality and the yield component of the flooding rice under aerobic cultivation. So to the next one. So the material I will be using is with two aerobic rice variety and non-aerobic rice variety. So for the aerobic rice variety, I obtained on MARDI or Malaysia Agriculture Research Development and Institute. The variety I obtained were Aeron and Aerob 1. So for the non-aerobic, I will be used on MR220CL, which being obtained on PPK Kedah. So for the experiment was conducted on plant science and seed tech technology laboratory on UiTM campus Jasin. And as for the field experiment will be held on the greenhouse field plotted located in UiTM also. So this the several picture that can show that aerobic variety and non-aerobic variety. So for the next one, for the experiment one, is to determine the seed germination under growth chamber. So the growth chamber was used to test the germination capacity of the germination and the vigor index. So we can see that this variety were set up on the 12 hour of 40 degrees in daylight and 28 degrees Celsius or indicate the night mode. So next one will be held on the experiment 2, was conducted in 2020 and is most of it filled with 250 pots and with has every week and be held for and weekly progress of the sick leave was observed and recorded for 2 weeks or 14 days. For entire 2 weeks, all the temperature and humidity was recorded using a data logger of Elitech GSP 6. So for the next one, so we can see that result and discussion, we can see that AROP 1 and MR2 germination capacities, MR220CL germination capacity, speed germination and vigor index does not give significant to each other variety, but somehow AROP 1 give a better performance in germination capacity, speed germination, but the MR220CL give better vigor index. It's because due to the growth chamber which receive uniform light requirement of the best temperature to pursue growth as compared to the field plot condition and temperature in variety. Temperature is varied and difficult to control. Sorry. It's also help that control environment helps to promote better gibberellin, which help to trigger amylosynthesis during the emergent stage. So this show that the lower the temperature, reduce the production of gibberellin were affected during the germination process. This also that regulate temperature help to synthesis amylase during germination process. However, good humidity helps to increase the chance of seed to grow in adequate environment. So for on the field environment, we can see that was significant difference between the AROP 1 and MR220 in February 2020 in table 2. As for the AROP 1 and AROP 2, in terms of germination capacity, there were no significant. Thus show that aerobic rice can tolerate in hot weather with the same amount of water with MR220CL. So this show that aerobic rice can tolerate with water stress. So we can see that water stress can be one of major of environment factor limiting the germination crop itself. So adequate water is needed for the aerobic rice for that nitrogen uptake to decrease as the water supply decrease. So water supply is important for germination process to cope with another factor allowed to seed to germinate. As to compare the germination capacity on the January, the germination is quite high compared to the October. So the heat stress occur helps to increase the tolerance stage to produce a better yield better yield index, which help to increase the seed itself. So conclusions state that can see that many stress can cause seed germination to early distort due to tolerance to the stress. So the current result is important for the next or on this experiment still ongoing for further impose to the drop, heat and stress during the reproductive stage to determine rice productivity and seed quality for both greenhouse and field plot. So it's very beneficial for information to the farmer to enhance their rice productivity as well as the rice quality for next growing season, particularly in dry season. So this where the experiments still ongoing. I'll show some of the picture. So final acknowledgement, thank you to MOHE.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tani. I would like to explain the manuscript of analysis of bacterial community from the research pair of Salud Alim Ascalonicum in Breakfast Central Java using next generation sequencing and TS approach. With author by Ratno Rusastutri, Sami Sumani, and Syafati. Introduction. Brebes is the largest salad center in Indonesia. This area contributes a 50.5% of national production or 57% of production in Central Java. In the cultivation of salute encouraged many problems, and one of them is the attack of plant destruction organisms. To overcome the problem of damage caused by pests, farmers generally use chemical pesticides. In case use of insecticides to control agricultural crop pests will affect the quality of soil, water, and crop. Soil biological diversity is very important in the balance of soil ecosystem. It's also an indicator of soil health and can affect the condition of plant growing on it. In the management of natural resources, biodiversity information is needed to maintain the sustainability of species use, explore biological potential, and monitor species and their ecology, make policies, and for the development of biotechnology innovation. The aim of this study were one is to isolate bacteria from the reservoir of solute. Two, to obtain a consortium of bacteria from the field capable of decoding chlorpyrifos from toxic compounds to non-toxic compounds. Material method, self-sampling. Self-sampling was created in May 2021 in Sheffield, Wonosari, and Songombro Presidency. Isolation and morphological identification of the bacterial consortium. The sample inoculum was inoculated by the spread plate method in the soil extract medium. During the isolation process, the growth of microorganisms was observed by the total suitable size were selected by 2 persons across gel electrophoresis. The same amount of PCR product from each sample was collected, then fixed at the end, a tail and then tied and an illuminate adapter. The libraries were sequenced on Illumina paired and platform to produce 2,150 base pair, spread and seed. The final pair reading is done based on its unique barcode and then transcoded by cutting the barcode and main sequence. Spread and read were performed using flash and analytical tools that is accurate in paired read when there are multiple reads overlapping with read resulting from upside in and of DNA with the same fragment, and the splicing sequence is called raw tag. Raw tag quality sequencing was carried under special screening conditions to obtain high quality clean tag according to claims. Tags were compared with the reference-based sulfide database using the UKIMA algorithm to detect camera sequence to obtain phylogenetic relation of all ODU representative sequence. Most people can quickly compare multiple sequence normalization of operation taxonomical unit ODU is performed by using the standard sequence number that correspond to sample with the small order. Result and discussion characteristics of solid reservoir soil. Composite soil analysis show that the solute rhizosphere in several observation areas has a pH tend to be acidic. The organic matter content in Kb2 solid field is low, and Kb4 mixed forest is high, and the N content is in Kb2 was very low, and Kb4 very low. The result of the analysis of the available input are for Kb2 medium and Kb4 very low. Furthermore, the result of Kb available at the location of Kb2 were high class and Kb4 were medium. Further community analysis using non-cultural method with NGS. Based on the result of band analysis, the overlapping pattern of ODU group among different samples is obtained in figure 1. For sample Kb2 and Kb4, each accommodate 57 ODU and 24 ODU with combined set between the two of 73 ODU. This result indicates the soil bacterial community in Kb2 is very similar to the soil bacterial community in Kb4. This is presumably because most of the soil bacteria in Kb2 come from the same soil environment as Kb4. Saxapilum. In general, the relative abundance of soil bacterial phyla in Kb2 and Kb4 has a significant difference, except for the Proteobacteria phylum. The most dominating phyla of Kb2 are phylum Proteobacteria and Actinobacteria. Well, in Kb4, it is dominated by phylum Elucine microbiota and cyanobacteria.
Okay, thank you for all three presentations. And again, we have the discussions for 5 minutes. Yeah, please, Pak Komang.
Thank you very much, moderator. I have question for the three presenters. Actually, for the first presenter, I would like to know what is the content of the mix of or the composition of the compost and glycolidium, because there's no information on that one. And I was surprised, actually, the question triggered by the dry weight of the garlic, which is about 28% from the fresh weight. So that's indicating that the dry weight is very high. I'm afraid this not really dried well in the open before weighing. And for the second presenter, suggestion in your purpose, you put there for the whole your experiment until finish of your experiment, while the study that you're reporting just about only the germination. I think better not to put the whole purpose of the research in the paper, because you only take in the first part of your research. And for the third presenter, this is surprising results, because there was no difference between the bacterial consortium in the two places, even though the organic matter content of the soil so much different. So usually the bacteria prefer to live in the higher organic matter to get food, but your results suggesting there's no difference between the low organic matter and the higher, even though the low one in here around 1.8. Maybe you have any ideas what is the lowest organic matter content of the soil to be able the bacteria consortium live in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Komang. Okay, we probably will give it time for the first presenter, Pak Hadi Wiono, or probably Ibu Dwiyati, to answer the first questions. If you feel more comfortable using Bahasa Indonesia, it's fine. Please.
Okay, I will try to answer the question. Thank you, Mr. Komang. Compost plus Cleocladium here was prepared 2 weeks before application by mixing compost and Cleocladium with a dose of half kilogram of Cleocladium for 2 tons of compost. Sorry, the second question.
I would like, do you have information on the composition of the nutrients composition of the mix? Thank you. If no information, that's fine. The second one is about the fresh weight of the salad is around 48 grams, and the dry weight is around 14 grams. So that's mean that the carbon contained in the salad is around 28%. It seems very high. Maybe you haven't dried, that's enough. Yeah, until having constant weight, because it's still very high, the weight of the dry bulk. Thank you.
Okay, it's like feedback from Pak Komang. So probably can go to the second presenter to give the answer. Probably Mr. Aiman Hanafi. Time is yours.
Thank you for the suggestion. Can I ask back the question, Pak Koman?
Oh, yeah, just suggestion in your purpose of the study, you put, I think, 3 purposes there, including the yield. Yeah, try to measure the yield, but you experiment just on the germination. So better in your purpose, just put only for the germination test purpose, not the whole 3 purposes, because your experiment is still running. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the suggestions. And for the last questions, probably Ibu Sutami.
Okay, thank you for the question. Some of the things that cause soil to have low organic matter content are as follows. The improper cultivation technique will actually cause damage to the soil itself. The use of a chemical fertilizer with excessive dose in the long term without being balanced with the provision of soil organic fertilizer can also make the soil more acidic, and the absorption of nutrient to the disrupt. And the third, plant residue are not returned to the soil. Any feedback?
Yeah, I don't think that what I would like to ask. Yeah, sorry, the moderator. Yeah, I was saddened by the results that no difference on the bacteria consortium between the first place, which is very low in organic matter, and the second place is very high in organic matter. So the low one in organic matter is around 1.8%, The high one is around 5.5% of organic matter. That's very, I think 8 or 5. Yeah, I would like to know why, because usually bacteria live in the high organic matter because they got food in there. But your results suggest there's no difference. Yeah. Do you have any idea what is the lowest organic matter content of the soil that can support the life of bacteria in the soil? And also there's no information on the what is the water content of the soil, because bacteria need to live in the humid place. Thank you.
Thank you. I think not different because the two of place in conservative agriculture, the use of some chemical fertilizer so highest.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you again, Pak Komang, for contributing on the discussions, for your questions, for your feedback, for your suggestions. Thank you. Okay, we'll go next to the last 4 presentations from the ID 112 entitled Growth Analysis of Soybean in Applications of Biochar and Organic Fertilizer under Kayu Putih Stand. And
Excuse me, Pak Evan.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Pak Evan. I would like maybe to have answer the question from Komang.
Oh, okay.
Related
please.
The 86 articles.
Yeah.
That presented by Dwiyati. Yes. That is good question. I think related the dry weight of Mas, maybe still have no thing. I think and for overall, I think to be better for instance, that I still remember with related the GN ratio, for instance, is better or lower than controls, for instance. Then I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll continue. From the ID 112, we entitled Growth Analysis of Soybean in Applications of Biochar and Organic Fertilizer under Kayu Putih Stand. We have the author Ibu Anissa Dian Arviana, authoress Aprilia Ika Nurmalasari. The second is from ID 139, entitled Morphological and Physiological Responses of Soybeans to Organic Fertilizers in Mahogany-Based Agroforestry Systems. We have Ibu Desi Setianingrum. Thank you for joining these sessions. And also as others, Maria Teresia Sri Budiastuti, Joko Purnomo, and Sudadi. From the ID 160 entitled Institutions to Improve Farmers' Resilience in Facing Climate Change, Barokatu Minallah, the others Barokatu Minallah, Neni Widyaningsih, and Oke Setiarso. And the last is from ID 9, entitled Selections of Mutants of Short Stem Rice Mentek Wangi Generations, M4, Results of Gamma Ray Irradiations 250 gray. And we have Pak Prakoso. Thank you for joining here. And also as the others is Ahmad Yunus, Parianto, and Nandaria. Please, operator, play the video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anissa Dian Arviana, undergraduate Department of Agrotechnology, Faculty of Agriculture, 11 Maret University, Indonesia. Today, I would like to present the research with title Growth Analysis of Soybean in Application of Biochar and Organic Fertilizer under Kayu Putih stand. First, I'll start with introduction. The reduction in agricultural yield is caused by productive land decreasing. Productive land decreasing is caused by human population increases. Marginal land utilized can overcome this problem. Marginal land has low fertility and low water content. In general, marginal land is used to grow annual crops as known as agroforestry. Annual crops grown are income-generating crops such as kayu putih. To utilize marginal land with agroforestry, it is necessary to modify with application of biochar and organic fertilizer to improve soil fertility. One of the declining agricultural yield is soybean yields. The use of marginal land with modification of biochar and organic fertilizer is still rarely done by farmers. Therefore, this study was conducted to analyze soybean growth with biochar and organic fertilizer treatment. Then the purpose of this research. First, studied the interaction of type of biochar and organic fertilizer on soybean growth. Second, study the types of biochar that affect soybean growth. Third, study the types of organic fertilizer that affect soybean growth. The research was conducted in February to June 20 and 22 at Riset Pengolahan Hutan RPH Bleberan Payen Gunung Kidul Yogyakarta. List the tools and materials that used in this research. The experimental design that used in this research is completely randomized block design with two factors. First factor is type of biochar, which consists of control, rice husk biochar, and coconut shell biochar. The second factor is type of organic fertilizer, which consists of control, chicken manure fertilizer, cow manure fertilizer, and goat manure fertilizer. Then the research stage include land preparation, planting preparation, organic fertilizer application, biochar application, maintenance, variable observation, data analysis. The result. The first result is leaf area index. There was no interaction between the type of biochar and organic fertilizer treatment, but the best biochar is rice husk and the best organic fertilizer is goat manure. Leaf area index is affected by nitrogen. Rice husk biochar containing high nitrogen and goat manure can increase N, P, and K nutrient, so nitrogen in rice husk biochar and goat manure affect leaf area index. Then the specific leaf weight. There was no interaction between the type of biochar and organic fertilizer, but the best organic fertilizer is chicken manure. Specific leaf weight or leaf thickness affected by nitrogen. Chicken manure can increase soil pH and nitrogen uptake. Nitrogen in chicken manure affects specific leaf weight. Then the leaf area ratio. There was no interaction between the type of biochar and organic fertilizer, but the best biochar is rice husk and the best organic fertilizer is goat manure. Rice husk biochar provides sufficient nutrient so that leaf growth goes well. Manure fertilizer contain nitrogen which affects vegetative and leaf growth. The best of biochar is rice husk and the best organic fertilizer is goat manure. Specific leaf area is positively correlated with nitrogen. Rice husk biochar improves soil fertility and prevents nitrogen loss. Goat manure contains nitrogen which affects the leaf quality found. Nitrogen in rice husk biochar and goat manure affect the specific leaf area. Then plant growth rate. There was no interaction between the type of biochar and organic fertilizer treatment, but the best biochar is coconut shell, and the best organic fertilizer is goat manure. Biochar can increase soil pH and organic carbon, nutrient, and P so that plant growth properly. Manure fertilizer contains nutrient and water, thus affecting plant growth. Then the net assimilation rate. There was no interaction between the type of biochar and organic fertilizer treatment, but the best type of biochar is coconut shell and the best organic fertilizer is goat manure. Biochar affect the net assimilation rate because it contains phosphorus, which function in formation of assimilation. Goat manure adds N, P, and K nutrients, so it affects the net assimilation rate. Then the conclusion. The application of biochar and organic fertilizer together has not had an effect on soybean growth. 2. Giving the type of biochar did not affect soybean growth. However, rice husk biochar gave the highest average of leaf area index and specific leaf area on 3 weeks after planting, and coconut shell biochar gave the highest average of net assimilation rate and plant growth rate. 3. Organic fertilizer application has not affected the growth of soybean plant, but goat organic fertilizer give the highest average for leaf area index, plant growth rate, and net assimilation rate. Okay, thank you for your attention. I hope the result of this research can be beneficial for us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Setyaningrum from Doctoral Program of Agricultural Science, Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas 11 Maret, Indonesia. I want present our research entitled Morphological and Physiological Response of Soybean to Organic Fertilizer in Mahoney-based Agroforestry System. And another author are Maria Teresia Tribudi Asuti, Joko Purnomo Sudadi, and Muhammad Farhan Mufid. Soybean, a source of vegetable protein for human and animal feed. This caused the soybean consumption per capita in Indonesia to be relatively high. The high level consumption is not supported by soybean production in Indonesia. One effort to increase soybean production is by utilizing suboptimal land. However, the soil on suboptimal land has low quality. So, technological innovation is needed to improve suboptimal land productivity, one of them with agroforestry system. This research to examine the role of organic fertilizer on morphology and physiology of soybean in agroforestry system with Mahoney strain. This research was conducted at sea level. Soybean planting under Mahoney strain with 45,300 logs. Research using complete randomized design with one factor, namely type of organic fertilizer with 4 levels, namely chemical fertilizer, chicken manure, goat manure, and cow manure. Repeat 5 times. Data were analyzed using analysis of variance with a level of 5% if there is significant further tests which Duncan. The results showed that the type of organic fertilizer affects soybean morphology, namely plant height 2, 3, and 4 weeks after planting and leaf number at 4 weeks after planting. The highest of plant height at 4 weeks after planting in cow manure, and the highest of leaf number at 4 weeks after planting in cow manure. Fertilization affects the physiology of soybean plant, namely on total chlorophyll, the highest of total chlorophyll in chicle manure. Fertilization does not affect plant fresh weight at 4 weeks after planting. Fertilization does not affect on plant water content and plant biomass at 4 weeks after planting. Total chlorophyll count was positively correlated with the amount of chlorophyll A, and Plant fresh waste was positively correlated with plant biomass and plant water content. The conclusion in our list, the type of organic fertilizer affects soybean morphology, namely plant height at 2, 3, and 4 weeks after planting, leaf number at 4 weeks after planting, and soybean physiology, namely total chlorophyll. The plant height and the number of leaves that were highest in the cow manure fertilization treatment. Chicken manure produced the highest total chlorophyll. Total chlorophyll count was positively correlated with the amount of the chlorophyll A. In addition, plant fresh waste was positively correlated with plant biomass and plant water content. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Barakatul Minallah. I will present about my research with the title is Institution to Improve Farmers' Resilience in Facing Climate Change. And my team is me, Barakatul Minallah, and Mrs. Neni Widayaningsi. And the third one is Mrs. Oke Setiarso. The background of our research that as we know that climate change already happened in all over the world, that indicated by the increasing of the temperature and the increasing of the increasing of the frequency of the extreme weather, and that make causes flood, droughts, and the spread of agricultural pests and weeds, and increases the ability of pests to survive and decreases access to food. And one of the area that had an impact of the climate change is Banyumas Regency, because Banyumas Regency, based on the previous research, that Banyumas Regency is one of the flood-prone areas that prone to drought and has the potential to be attacked by pests. And based on the previous research also, that climate change causes farming to be vulnerable to failure. An area will, based on Ruminta 2016, that an area will experience high vulnerability if it has high level of exposure, ability of institution to deal with the impact of climate change. As we know that adaptation is really important to overcome climate change, the impact of the climate change, and adaptation capacity will encourage resilience, and resilience can be increased through the institutional strengthening, and strong institution will boost farmers' opportunity for success by improving farm performance through planning and coordination. Based on Speranza, Weisman, and Rees, that they have 4 indicators to determine institutional capacity, or at the farmer level, name is self-organization. The first one is institution refers to the norms and rules in society. And the second one is collaboration and networking. If a farmer have collaborate with other farmers or collaborate with other groups and they have networking, it will increasing their opportunity to overcome the climate change, because they have increasing of their capacity to overcome the climate change. The third one is network structure. The fourth one, dependence on resource. If a farmer have on importance of adaptation capacity is to minimize the impact of climate change and is closely related to resilience. So to improve farmer resilience needed to strengthening the institutional to support the access to resources. And this study aims to identify conditions for self-organization at the farmer level, analyze indicators that are strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. The data and methodology are research done in Banyumas Regency with the unit of analysis is rice farmers, and the target population based on fertility level, based on land type and rainfall, and affected by climate change is in Kamranjen district and Sumbang district. And we have 103 sample. And data analysis technique, we use SWOT analysis to determine the condition of self-organization of farmers. The result of the research is we got 4 strengths and the 2 weakness. The first one of the strength, young farmer, and agriculture as the main livelihood. And the third one, farmers have a social capital to support farming, and farmers have the resources to support farming. And farmers have 2 weakness. The first one, they have a low level of education, and they have family income that below district minimum wage. And based on research, we have 2 opportunity and 3 threat. On opportunity, the first one, farmers having a network to strengthen their farming business. And the second one, they have an easy access to get production factor. And the threat that farmers has to come. The first one is the absence of norms in the community to regulate land and water use, as well as local wisdom to support farming. And the second one, existing institutions in the community that do not support farming optimally. And the third one, average production per hectare below the national average. Based on the research, we have the conclusion that internal factors are in average condition and external factors are in high condition. And the implication of this research that we have to strengthen the internal factor by utilizing social capital owned by farmers, and how to strengthening external factor by encourage institutional capacity to support farmers in dealing with climate change. That what I can present in my research. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hi, good morning. Hope you enjoy your last. Hi, good morning. I hope you have a nice day. Let me introduce my name. My name is Prakosa. I am from Agrotechnology. In this opportunity, I will tell you about my research, mutant selection of short stem rice mentik wangi generation M4, result of 250 gray gamma ray irradiation. Background: the fragrant rice plant is a plant commodity that is distinctive and has natural aroma resulting in the fluffier texture of rice and has higher price in the market. Mentik wangi is fragrant rice that has shortcoming in term plan of height. and age. According to Meliala 2016, improving the quality and quantity of mentik wangi can be done by plant breeding such as gene mutation. Plant genetic mutation can be induced by using mutagens such as gamma ray irradiation. Research purpose: knowing the performance of mentik wangi M4 rice with the influence of 250 gray gamma ray irradiation, and select M4 rice to obtain short stem, short lived, and high productivity rice. Research methods: this research was carried out from July until October 2020. The research location is at the Tegalgondo Rice Seedling Center, District Gatak, Sukoharjo Regency, Central Java. Tools: tractor who recycle pack cardboard, tape measure rule, raffia, skisser, analytical scale, newspaper, stationery, and ingredients: urea, Ponska, SP36, KCL, ZA pesticide, and previous generation mentik wangi rice seeds produced by gamma ray irradiation of 250 gray, consisting of 47 strain. Planting: each line of mentik wangi rice produced by gamma ray irradiation of 250 gray was planted as many as 30 plants in parallel without randomization. Observing each individual plant to compare with control plant and selected plant according to the purpose. And then the data were analyzed descriptively, followed by the t-test by comparing plant performance with control plant data. And then selecting the best line according to the purpose, and selecting 5 plants for each line that has short stem, short harvest life, and has the potential for high yield. And then discussion. Research location condition. In the Tegalgondo Seedling Center, Rice Seedling Center is located on Jalan Raya Solo, Jogja, kilometer 15, Drum, Pos 2, Kartasura, Gatak, Sukoharjo Regency, Central Java. Throughout of the year, temperatures usually vary from 22 degrees to 33 degrees Celsius and rarely below 20 degrees or above 36 degrees Celsius. The Tegalgondo Rice Seeds Garden contains 6.15 hectares of rice field or production field, location at an altitude of approximately 118 meters above sea level. Based on the time of the study, October experienced the highest rainfall of 22 millimeters. And then growth result and the production of mentik wangi. Plant height. Control plant has an average height of 140.1 with shortest range 20 centimeters and the longest range of 145 centimeters. The M2 250 G29834 line had the lowest height with an average of 102.4 cm with the lowest range of 98 cm and the higher range of 110 cm. Meliala et al. 2017, there are abnormalities in the irradiation population that cause major change at genomes, chromosomal, and DNA level, so that physiology process in genetically controlled cell become abnormal. And then total tillers M320 250 G 62 1759 lines with a total of 41 with an average of 30.3. The control race had the highest number of tillers, namely 14 with an average 12. Maxia 2017 states that gamma ray irradiation is an effective technique to produce new mutants or increase genetic variation. With high genetic diversity, there is a greater chance of getting the desired new genotype. N50 G 29834 with an age of 84 days after plant. The control line has had an age of 117 days after plant, which was different from the mutant line. According to Suprihanto et al. 2009, the age of rice range from 115 until 124 days or medium range. The harvest age range is the average age range of rice varieties released in Indonesia. Based on this result, the M4 line.
Okay, we're sorry to stop the video because we have a time constraint of 7 minutes. Okay, Pak Komang, but first I have to give the opportunity for Ibu Desi Setianingrum from the chat box. The questions to Ibu Anissa Dian: how is the control treatment? Why combine biochar and organic fertilizers, and also how is the control treatment? Apply chemical fertilizer or not fertilizers? For Ibu Anissa Dian, time is yours.
I will answer the question from Ms.
Could you please closer to the microphone?
It's because there are many biochar and organic fertilizer resources available, and besides that, biochar and organic fertilizer have the benefit to holding soil water and can increasing the soil pH. And about the control treatment is without biochar treatment and without organic fertilizer treatment.
You are still muted, moderator.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it answer your questions, Ibu Desi?
Okay, now.
Okay.
But sound is very low.
Oh yeah. I think Ibu Dian has a little problem with the microphone. So we'll go next to again Pak Komang. Please, time's yours.
Thank you, moderator. First, I would like to acknowledge the first presenter, Saudari Anissa, to have courage to present as an undergraduate student to present paper in here. It's very good. Thank you. But unfortunately, I have to criticize a little bit about your parameters. Your treatment was on the nutrition treatment, but your parameters on like specific leaf area, the specific leaf weight and leaf area ratio, that light affected parameters, not nutrition affected parameters. Yeah, that's why you can't find significantly difference in there. So yeah, that's for note for you to do research in the future. And for the second presenters, the study under the the kayu putih, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, your light measurements was using lux meters. It's not really appropriate to be published in the a good publication, good journal. You're supposed to use the PAR light meter, photosynthetically active radiation, so you can get the exact idea how much light is absorbed by the canopy to affect the growth of the soybean underneath. Yeah, that's my suggestion. It's better to use better equipment to measure the light. Yeah. For the third presenter, I'm a bit not really agree that the external factor need to be improved, since the weaknesses of the group that you study is low education level. So in this case, I would like to say that the knowledge and experience of the group need to be improved, so they can anticipate what going to happen as a result of the climate change. If they know already how to anticipate, I think they're going to have a good adaptation strategy. So in order to have to be able to anticipate, they have to have knowledge and experience to do that. And for the fourth one, unfortunately, there's the stop. So, but I believe that the yield of the rice will be higher for the gamma ray irradiated plant. But I just would like to know physiologically how it happened. The rice with shorter age, with higher tiller number, that probably that's not going to be effective to produce seeds, can yield more than the control one. Yeah, the like best ideal ideal type of variety. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Komang, for the input, for the feedback. Probably from the presenter one, would like to say something? Or from the presenter two, Ibu Desi Stianingrum. Is there anything you'd like to say? Or from another presenter, Ibu Barakota Munullah?
Okay.
Oh yeah, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I really thank you for Mr. Komang for the suggestion, and I will correct it to my article to be better article. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu. And probably for Prakosa, from the fourth presenter, would like to say something? Answer your questions. It's also okay to use Bahasa Indonesia.
No, sir.
Oh, no. All right, then. It's okay. So hope can be a good input for all the presenters, And yes, finally, finally, we come to the end of part of this parallel sessions of the 9th International Conference on Sustainable Agriculture and Environments, ICSA A9. And I'd like to remind everyone that we'll be seeing you again tomorrow on the General Assembly sessions. One more time, we'd like to say thank you for all the participants, for all the presenters. We'll see you later again tomorrow. Thank you very much. Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.